Okay, so until last year, I fell in love very easily, too easily maybe. That is with cities like Tokyo, Paris, Florence. But since the pandemic, I've only had my eyes on Hong Kong. And it's been a great surprise to me that it's been the smaller architectural gestures that have entranced me. Now, here is a photograph of something that I've never noticed before. It's the floor of the FCC, the Foreign Correspondents Club. But when you're not traveling and you're not being fed all these beautiful images of different cities, you start to look around you and you start to notice things. This combines one of my two favorite things, Hong Kong ingenuity and the metal shutter doors that people use to close up their tiny shops. And it's just a kind of quirky, very Hong Kong thing. And I've started to notice that. One of the great advantages of my new local flaneur status is that I'm wandering around all the back streets. And now this is my favorite coffee shop in Hong Kong. So I was attracted by the color and then discovered the coffee. So you see, there are rewards in falling in love with your city again. And some of the things I've just literally glimpsed from a taxi, but you start to understand how the city reflects who we are, how street artists are, expressing themselves in new ways, and it's changing the city around us. I particularly love that piece. And I've also noticed how there are quintessential material elements like these beautiful tiles. These are around an entrance to just a tiny little shop that I'd never really noticed before. But once you start walking and you start looking, and you're actually searching for details, like this particular column is just on a busy street. I've walked past it so many times before, but suddenly when you stop and you're looking to discover these little elements, you notice these parts of our history, the layers of the city. So the city is not just what is shown to everyone, the wonderful big dramatic architecture. I love I.M. Pei's buildings and Caesar Paley's buildings, but actually it's these tiny kiosks that are the real face of the city. This is the level that we interact with, whether you're having a chop carved or your shoes repaired. Now, it's not just the city as well. We have a lot of outlying islands, and I suddenly discovered this very Wes Anderson-esque little seafood restaurant on Lama Island. And, it's the sort of thing that I would never have really made a note of. Just like this little gate, which is to the side down an alley on the peak. I've walked past it for 20 years. I've never noticed it. But now I'm stopping, I'm looking, I'm falling in love, little steps. But these are things that are all around us, and I want to change the way that I interact with the city. So now I'm going down all these little back lanes and alleyways, and I'm looking at, oh yeah, in our city, we just seem to have tiles everywhere, and we have color. Well, there's no need for those tiles or the color there, but it's there, down some dark little lane. And then you start to see that even a sort of anonymous big architectural block of residences has color, and what that adds to the fabric of a city. It just adds, a character and a personality that I didn't realize it had. And it's not just the buildings that fascinate me. I love the way that the nature and architecture interact together. You see these trees all throughout Hong Kong, and I'm obsessed with photographing them now. And if there's a big storm, I go and check that they're still okay. And it's even the ugly, sort of dilapidated bits of the city that I'm looking at with fresh eyes, like down a lane. And you just think, I don't know why this is beautiful to me, but it is. There's something about it that says something about the city. It's a very personal thing. Now, this is a traditional sliding door gate, but it was being closed up for Chinese New Year last week. And I just love the functionality of it, and that they've left a little red post box in case anyone needs to drop off anything while they're away having dinner with a family. And I love, this interaction between different cultures. You have the sort of breeze blocks of quite colonial architecture. This is just a little sitting area on Llama Island for people waiting to take the ferry. But it combines a little bit of the Chinese architecture in the roof, but the colonial architecture. And then I find even in the city, it's things like the walkways, the overhead walkways. You need to look up. So often the city is just at our level when we're walking along the pavement. But now I'm wandering around like a mad woman, looking up, looking down, wandering down. This is one of my favorite little structures. It's an old, very modernist bus stop in Deepwater Bay. It's simple, it's falling apart, but I absolutely love it. Super functional, very Hong Kong. And it's always crammed with people waiting for the bus. And here, I think, is another thing that's been quite interesting is people are starting to send me photographs of things that they've seen that they want me to go and look at or put onto the Instagram HK Vernacular. And that's quite interesting, that setting up the way other people are also looking at the city. And I'm just ending with my favorite photograph, my favorite little piece of architecture, which is this strange little little hut for lifesavers also on Deepwater Bay. It's just, to me, quintessentially Hong Kong. And every time I see it, I fall in love with the city again. So thank you.